Hi folks, welcome to your Gersnet immediate post-match reaction pod, coming to you in association with Forest Precision Engineering. My name's Alec Anderson, I'm speaking to you from outside Ibrox, straight after Rangers' basically routine, ultimately comprehensive, eventually impressive 3-0 win over Raith Rovers in this afternoon's Scottish Cup quarter-final tie. A tie that I think will prove to be significant in the long-term development of Rangers under Michael Beale. Quietly significant. No one was expecting us to have any trouble against a side that are 7th in the Championship, as Raith Rovers are just now. But without maybe anybody really noticing it, we've just won 2 successive games by 3 clear goals. This is something we've been kind of failing to do, put together comprehensive results, put together impressive performances, and I think one of the other things we've been failing to do this season is really put away anybody in the cups. We've just reached 2 successive domestic cup finals for the first time since Walter Smith's second coming as Rangers manager, but nevertheless this season, I think you'll remember Queen of the South equalised against us in the League Cup before we beat them 3-1, not very impressively. Dundee, that quarter-final in the League Cup at Ibrox, that was absolutely murder, struggling 1-0 past them. They could have done us in the final stages of that game in several occasions. Aberdeen, the League Cup semi-final, they were down to 10 men, took us to extra time 8 days before they go out of this competition, the Scottish Cup, to Girvan. Even the 1-0 win over St Johnstone, probably our most impressive performance in the domestic cups this season. It was just 1-0. It was a bit of a struggle in the end up. Today though, Raith Rovers were neck and neck with Partick Thistle. We played Partick Thistle in the last round of the Scottish Cup. Took us to the last 5 minutes to beat Partick Thistle by 1 goal in that match. Today, first 40 odd minutes, I know we're all kind of sitting worrying, and when we don't see Rangers blowing a side away, we worry, why are Rangers not kind of running about, why are the players not all kind of hustle and bustle, why is the worry that we're feeling not reflected in the way the players are playing? It's a Sunday brunch time, and you thought of the players, would they rather be at home with their feet up on the sofa watching a bit of telly and having some bacon and eggs? No, the concentration was there, the application was there. Raith Rovers put in a low block. Big question we always ask, but every Rangers manager for the last million years, it feels like, is can he beat Celtic and can he beat a low block? Well, Michael Beale's obviously not managed to beat Celtic, but we haven't been terrible, we haven't been a million miles off it in these games. In fact, we have been terrible in these games, and we still haven't been a million miles off beating Celtic. So there's plenty to look forward to in that respect. But today, I don't think you'll get a more spectacular low block than Raith Rovers, whose most spectacular moment in the match was a shot in the first couple of minutes from inside their own half, which did beat Alan McGregor, but just went past the post from their number 77. But that summed them up. That summed up how Raith Rovers were applying themselves today. It was a dull day, it was a dour day, it was kind of a bit confusingly warm, but with a cold wind, really sleety. The Union Bears weren't on the ground, they've had a falling out with the board. I think they've had a flag taken off them, a banner has been taken off them by the police, so out of protest they didn't turn up today, and by God did we feel it. I've always said I love the Union Bears. I disagree with a few of the things they've said, but by and large they can really cost us when they don't show up in the stadium, because the atmosphere, all you heard was the kind of impressive 1,000 odd fans from Raith Rovers singing kind of bitchy songs about Rangers dying and our supporters walking away, all the usual garbage, which lost me a lot of respect for them. I always thought Raith Rovers were quite a cool club, the club of Jim Baxter. I respect them for beating us in this the Challenge Cup a few years ago, the Challenge Cup final, and putting us at the Scottish Cup the last time they came by, but it's wearing a really kind of sombre, really beautiful but really sombre black watch away kit. Well, today the most spectacular thing I said today was Raith Rovers Dayglow pink kind of Palermo Juventus original away kit, and I think having that Dayglow pink kit made it look like they had twice as many players as usual going across their box. They weren't trying to come out, they weren't trying to play us, they barely wanted to play us at football. And I think the thing that was most significant was when they did come forward, around about the 41st minute, they got numbers forward for the first time in the game. They kind of overlapped us, going down our right hand side, threatening to put a ball across into the box to be walked into the back of the net. It wasn't. We got the park, we got a corner. The Borner's been hitting them from the right hand side, so they're in swingers, and it looked like Conor Goldson in the air was our best threat, our best chance of a goal for that first 40 odd minutes. Borner goes over to the left hand side, puts in one of his usual corners, and there is Conor Goldson for his 3rd goal in 3 games. We won't talk about who he scored for in the middle of those 3 goals. The second goal, the goal he scored for Hibs at Easter Road the other night, I have just talked about it, sorry Conor. But that was it. Rangers took the lead, and you suddenly realise that we'd been maintaining concentration. We had to be doing that thing we did even in the early days of the Steven Gerrard reign with the sideways passes. We're playing ourselves to sleep like it is a lazy Sunday afternoon the players want. They'd been waiting for a breakthrough. They'd been applying themselves properly. Obviously, they're going to come off the pace a bit after the performance at Easter Road the other night. But the other thing I've always said, long before Michael Beale came, a bugbear of mine is when you get a spectacular performance full of kind of energy like we had at Easter Road on Wednesday night, I want to see it as close as possible to that starting 11, starting the next game, so the surfeit, the buzz of energy can be applied from the kick-off in the next game, especially when it's against lower league, stuffy opposition. Today, only Ryan Jack had been dropped from the starting 11 at Easter Road, and I think if there's one player you weren't expecting to play 3 games in 8 days, it would be Ryan Jack. If there's one of those games you wanted him dropped for, it would be today's. John Lundstrom comes in, and we did okay. We certainly had plenty of the ball, so we weren't really threatened. The moment we were properly threatened in a footballing sense, we made Raith Rovers pay the price for that. The team goes in the tunnel at half time and you're thinking, there's a lot of kind of mumble in the crowd and all that about how kind of slow we've been to take the lead and how dour a game it was. But I think by the time the game's finished, the second half had come out just before the hour mark. It's another fullback getting the assist with our centre half scoring, but this time Tav has played the ball into the Raith Rovers centre half, who spooned it into his own net with frankly not many Rangers players around him to threaten him. So that's 2-0, and then Michael Beale makes his substitutions. The opposite of what he did with the Partick Thistle game, where he started with players who were struggling for fitness, thinking he could test them out against championship opposition. I think he's probably finding out, Michael Beale, he didn't know already, that basically from the bottom end of the championship to the top 4, up to, excluding the top 2 of the Premiership, the standard's pretty much the same. It's of a level, and you can't afford to take it easy against these teams to start with. Rangers wear teams down. We're looking, as I say, for our team to go out and reflect the kind of panic we're feeling when we're struggling to get that first goal, hustle bustle, put in lots of tackles and what have you. We don't do that. This Rangers team doesn't do that. You look at Hibs, they come out and blew a gasket against us in the first 10 minutes the other night, and we just kept playing our game. We wear teams down, we keep our own rhythm, we keep our own level, and teams eventually cannot keep up with that. Opponents can't keep up with it. I thought eventually it was very impressive today. So we got that second goal, and then we make the subs. On comes Scotty Arfield, on comes Yanis Hadji, and they combine with the pivot, with the link between the two of them being the really increasingly impressive Todd Cantwell. Him and Raskin played the whole game again today. They get involved in a wee rammy at the end when it was 3-0 up, sticking up for each other. Scott Arfield was in there as well, or you could almost see him thinking, Scotty's a blue nose, you could see him thinking, the club's in safe hands with these two. The midfield's been well catered for by Raskin and Cantwell, and there was Todd Cantwell in there. Yanis Hadji, back from over a year out, injured. This is what his third appearance as a substitute. Lovely, just takes his man out of the game on the wing, slips the ball into Cantwell, a beautiful ball. He just does the magic touch off to the ever alert. Talk about a guy, the guy can read the game like nobody else, Scotty Arfield. Even the few minutes he was on the park, he was getting right between the last 2 defenders of Raith all the time and just stretching them in a way that unfortunately Tory Cholak, who either gets no goals or 2 goals, didn't manage today. He had one of his no-goal games today, Big T. But the box was packed for most of the game, but Scotty Arfield's in there and he puts it in the back of the net with 2 minutes to go, normal time. We're 3-0 up, and that will do for me. Add to that, you get Ridvan Yilmaz on for a little kind of cameo. He come on as a sub for Borna and looked pretty impressive. I'm pretty sure that was a shot he was trying to score. You guys saw it in the telly. I've not seen the telly yet. You'll know better than me. He almost scored a spectacular one towards the end. And Big John Suter, magic moment for him. I know he come on right at the very end in injury time against Kilmarnock the other week, but to see him come on and get a few minutes in place of Connor Golson was absolutely superb. So Rangers are back in the Scottish Cup semi-finals. Now I'm hoping that we're going to have to play another lower league side, because if you're going to win the Scottish Cup, we're going to have to face one the way the draw's lining up. That draw will be tomorrow night after Ayr against Falkirk in the last of the quarter-final ties, and I think we have a Rangers team here who, since they lost that League Cup semi-final to Celtic, look like they can't wait to play Celtic again, and if it's at Hampden, all the better. So great, feeling really good about this today, even though it might not have seemed the most spectacular or the most impressive of results. I think it was in a quite quietly significant way. Talking of quietly significant, we will have Mr. Craig Ray. I'm only joking, Craig, you're in a bit quiet, buddy. He's hosting tonight's main show, the 9:30 live on YouTube, traditional Sunday night Rangers Gersnet main show. He'll be hosting Mr. Stuart Weir and Mr. Dougie Kinnear. It's going to be a fantastic show. The boys are going to have plenty to talk about. They're going to get right in about this for you folks, so that's more than enough for me. I'm getting myself into trouble here, but Rangers are in the semi-final. That's the main thing. Have a lovely Sunday night.